is basically a new set of what we call KPIs, which a KPI in our language is a key performance indicator. A KPI can be added to the manager's dashboard. So that's basically how we've implemented this RVDA requirement. If you go into the dashboard in your local system, and you can go into Tools, New KPI, Service, and you're going to see these RVDA KPIs listed here. There's RVDA high labor, in stock, longest lead time, longest to order, longest to repair. And just to give you a little bit of background information on this, this was an effort, I guess it must have been about a year ago, or maybe a little more than that, where RVDA wanted to start tracking and put in place a series of KPIs that can be used to track these items, and these numbers can be used to compare and contrast between different vendor response times. All right, so what we have, what you're looking at now is a special tab that I've created in my system in order to demo this. When you log in, you're going to have all these individual KPIs. So it's actually up to you with the new dashboard to kind of drag and drop these KPIs into your dashboard. So you can see I can sort of customize all this stuff. When you log into the manager's dashboard, there won't be this layout. You're going to have to grab the KPIs, just drag them into your window according to how your monitor is. Like my monitor is probably a 1080p, kind of a large monitor. So if you have a smaller monitor, you know, you may want to split some of the stuff up into multiple tabs. But that's all very flexible according to the new manager's dashboard that we have currently. So if you're using these RVDA KPIs, what you'll notice is that they all have a little disclaimer down here at the bottom, which actually describes what's going on this KPI. But it's a little bit unclear. I'd say if you were trying to learn this just by looking at the disclaimer, you might still have some confusion. So like, why are certain things negative? For example, we've got your negative waiting for repair. You know, some of this might be unclear to you. So I'm going to go into each of these KPIs in a lot of detail during the webinar and try hopefully to explain why some of these numbers are behaving the way they are, because I know one thing that is also true about this, there's really no way for us to run any of these reports in our system. We don't have any reports to track this information. So, and you'll see as we kind of talk about this, there are very specific metrics that RVDA has specified that can be tracked. And of course, there aren't any reports for this currently. So this is the only way to get some of these numbers. You won't be able to find these numbers anywhere else in the software, but right here on this dashboard. We're going to go ahead and jump into it now. I'm just kind of going to go by in order and talk about each of these as you see them here. So, okay. Going to get my original write-up over here so we can answer any questions that you guys have. But okay, so the first thing I'll show is the actual spreadsheet that this was based on. Of course, over here you have your RVDA wait time listing, where you have your waiting for order, waiting for part, and waiting for repair. And then it gives you a number of days in here. And this is just an average. If you read the disclaimer, it says, this is an RVDA KPI. The average wait times in this KPI are calculated based on the wait times for an entire service document. So like I said, it's an average that's happening. And as far as waiting for order, let's see here. Let me get my, let's see your wait time listing. So this one is waiting for order, waiting for part, waiting for repair. Okay, waiting for order on the service documents that don't have all parts in stock and one or more of the parts have not been ordered or do not have an ordered PO attached to them. So basically, you know, you don't have the parts in stock and they have actually been ordered, or there's at least one order on the PO. Basically, we're tracking how long we're waiting on the order in that instance. So in this case, we see 22.51 days. If we look at the gear at the top of this KPI, you do have the ability to change the date range as well as the profit center and the department for this, as far as the range that we're looking at. Now, for purposes of demoing this, this is my demo environment. I have all of these KPIs set to last year as the date range. But for the most part, I think originally the RVDA specifications said it would have been within the last month that you'd want to be looking at. So anyway, you can pick your date range. I'm going to use last year so that I get good averages since it's just a test system. But in your system, you're probably going to want to come up here and set the date range to, I don't know, maybe last 3 months or last month, whatever the range is that you want. Or, you know, we can basically customize that on each KPI. So within the last year, we have 22.51 days waiting for order. The other one is waiting for part. So just to kind of describe to you what that is, it's a service document that does not have all parts in stock. So that means you have it sold but not relieved. And all out of stock parts should be on order. So basically, this is how many days are you waiting on the part, meaning if you're waiting for order, this is how many days in between when the part was sold and when it was ordered. And waiting for part means how many days after it was ordered did we wait for the part to actually be received. So now you're kind of understanding what these numbers are meaning. This is waiting on your ordering department. This is actually waiting on the supplier to deliver the part. Next one is waiting for repair. Yeah, that's interesting. So it's service documents that have all the parts already, but you're just waiting for a mechanic to start that repair. And this is a tough one to track in our system, which is why it shows as negative, because 9 times out of 10, your mechanic is already clocked onto a job and flagging hours by the time you understand what parts you're going to need to order. So for that reason, this wait time is almost always going to be negative, because it basically this time is going to include all the waiting for part and the waiting for order, you know, because your mechanic oftentimes has been flagging time on that work order anyway. So that's something maybe we could drill down on in our system, but it pretty much always shows negative because you're not really waiting on the technician for the most part. They're already there. So that takes care of the RVDA wait time listing. Now moving on, we have RVDA service invoice summary, where you get your average labor hours for repair and then your out of stock RECT. All right, so in this case, the disclaimer says it's an RVDA KPI. These KPIs deal with all labor hours or parts which were at one time not in stock and not relieved within the lifespan of the service document are counted. Okay, so average labor hours for repair would be, you know, basically how many labor hours on the repair, and then out of stock RECT, it refers to the parts. So in this case, in my 1 year worth of data, I didn't have any parts that were out of stock. So you're not really going to see any data in my system for that. So hopefully that makes sense. Basically, by looking at the disclaimer, you can understand what the scope of this is. All right, so then we move on, RVDA service invoice breakdown, where you get your total orders, total in stock, total out of stock, warranty and non-warranty. And the disclaimer will tell us it's an RVDA KPI, the breakdown of on order, in stock, out of stock, warranty and non-warranty. Deal with parts attached to service documents. If a part attached to a service document has one warranty job on it, all parts are considered warranty, even if they are attached to a non-warranty job. So that's an important thing to understand about the scope of this, is that you may have a work order with customer pay and warranty work on it. So when you're looking at this number of parts or orders or in stock, it's going to be considered warranty if it's got one warranty job in the entire RO. So that's how we're splitting up into warranty and non-warranty. So pretty much that refers just to parts. On order, in stock, out of stock. So that's focused on parts less than actually labor. I think the only real labor we have your waiting for labor over here, and then your RVDA high labor over here. So anyway, that's all parts. If we move on to RVDA in stock, it's going to compare the total in stock and out of stock as far as your parts on work orders. And in the disclaimer, it's going to say the breakdown of in stock versus out of stock deals with parts attached to service documents. Pretty simple how that works. To get in more in depth, let me see how this was specifically spec'd out. Okay. Yeah, in stock, the total number of parts POs for items that are currently in stock on service documents. Pretty much, that's how it would work. So that kind of makes sense to me how that is, how that's calculating. All right, so then we move on to RVDA warranty. RVDA warranty disclaimer says if a part is attached to a service document with one warranty job on it, all parts are considered warranty even if they are attached to a non-warranty job. So it's kind of the same disclaimer you get when you're splitting it up here. You have 50 in non-warranty, 19 as warranty. So pretty much this pie chart is designed to show that to you visually. So you can look at it month to month and basically get your readout here. I have 19 to 50 as my ratio, which should be 19 warranty, 50 non-warranty, as you see up here as the numbers. One thing that's nice about our current dashboard is that these pie charts can be customized if you prefer. It comes with a pie chart by default, which is the specifications of this RVDA dashboard. But if we hit the little gear next to it, you can see my chart is just the default chart type. We could change this, for example. The new dashboard gives you the ability to use all kinds of different sort of charts. So maybe you might prefer a, I don't know, I guess like a 3D bar chart. Or like here, cylinder stack column might be nice. So we look at that, it's like a cylinder chart. On this new dashboard, you can use the Alt key on the keyboard. You hold down Alt and then you can click and drag that graph to orient it into an orientation that looks good. But yeah, you can use these 3D graphs to maybe visualize the data in a better way. I don't like this one because I don't get my values aren't really well defined. I can't see what it says. So I'm going to go back to my pie chart. Now, pie chart's really what this was designed for. It's not 3D. You might be able to find a 3D graph that works for you, but that's what the new dashboard allows you to do. You can customize all that stuff. But I'm going to leave it as pie chart for this example. And we'll go ahead and move over to RVDA parts procurement, which is a bar chart, which is specified, of course. Parts procurement is basically, okay, we have not much of a disclaimer here. It's KPIs based on the service document as a whole, i.e. if one repair hasn't been started, the entire service document will be noted as waiting for repair. Okay, great. So it's kind of hard to see how these labels work. I might want to pick a different bar chart for this, but just to kind of describe it for you, the bottom bar is waiting for repair, as it says here in the key. It says that in the key. It's kind of hard to read probably. Middle one is waiting for part, and then the top one is waiting for order. Okay, so waiting for repair, that's going to be all service documents that have all parts but are waiting to be started by a mechanic. All right, so there's 40 of those currently in the system. Then waiting for part, the middle one. But that means the service documents that do not have all parts in stock, all out of part stock should be on order. So basically, These are all the ROs that have out of stock parts, but those parts are on order, which means we're waiting for the part now. There's 18 of those. The top one is waiting for order. So waiting for order in our system, what we're calculating for that is service documents that do not have all parts in stock and one or more of the parts have not been ordered. What that means is there is no PO attached to those parts that isn't in ordered status. Okay, so one of the things that I guess I should qualify with this is if you want to have accurate numbers out of this dashboard, it's going to be very important that you're doing special orders correctly. And you may already know this, but the users are going to be ordering the part from the RO. You have to be ordering the part from the service document in order to see accurate numbers here. So that's usually how it works, but like if people are just using the order list for all special orders and they're not ordering from the RO, we have no way of tracking this stuff, how long we're waiting on the order, waiting on the part. It will only work if you do special orders correctly. Okay, I think that takes care of the parts procurement. Now we get to these lists at the bottom. You have 4 lists, which again, this is all specified by RVDA, how to build out this report. And what the lists are showing you are your RVDA longest lead time, your longest to order, longest to repair, and then high labor. All right, so I'm going to talk about these in detail. And just to kind of read, we do have the disclaimer on here. We knew when we programmed this that you were going to need some help understanding what these numbers actually meant because it's not on any other report in the system. So we put these disclaimers down here to make it easier to understand. This is an RVDA KPI, length of time that one non-relief part on a service document with a quantity of 0 has not been ordered. So it's the length of time that it hasn't been ordered, but only when you have a quantity of 0 because it's unrelieved. Okay, so basically it's just a ranking. Okay, so all we're doing is we're doing your top 5 in this case. There are only 5 that we have. I'm kind of surprised about that, but anyway, yeah. So it's going to rank it by the part number. So if I were to grab this PO number and look at it, this would tell me that this part number 2000 had been waiting for a long amount of time. And in going back to the original specification, the lead time is non-relieved parts that were attached to a service invoice or an RO and were ordered, but took the longest to receive. Okay, so that actually is a bit more accurate in looking at that, right? So my part number 2000, yes, we ordered it. We waited the longest amount of time to receive it, and that would be considered the lead time. You know, that's your lead time that you have to allow for the supplier to ship you that part. So we break it down by part number, just like RVDA specifies. All right, so I'm looking back at my Q&A section to see if we have any Q&A yet. I don't see anything yet, but that's probably a good sign. Hopefully we're not alienating anyone in my explanations, but feel free to post anything into Q&A. Lori, you have your hand up. I am not going to open up any kind of audio on this webinar, so what you'll want to do, if you do have a question, just go ahead and post it in the Q&A section. All right. So that's my lead time. This is how long we had to wait for the supplier to deliver my parts. And then moving on, longest to order, just like, I mean, it's the same stuff over and over again. I've already kind of explained our, waiting for order, waiting for part, waiting for repair. Basically, we're just ranking the individual part numbers on how long we've waited to order. But I'll read the disclaimer here. Length of time, one non-relieved part on a service invoice with a quantity of 0 has not been ordered. So there again, it's my waiting for order, which my average time for the time frame was 22.51 days. This is going to tell me the longest amount of time that a part has had to wait on an order. And it'll tell me those part numbers. It tells me the actual PO where that part number has been finally ordered. So basically, actually, you know what? That is, okay, yeah, that's good. So it just gives you your ranking. This is, again, something that's specified that RVDA wants its dealerships to be tracking that information across all software platforms. So that's what we've done. RVDA longest to repair. So again, okay, so this is actually the longest to repair. Let me show you the disclaimer on that. It says service documents with the longest time between when they were created and when they were marked as closed, cashed out. Okay, so that's actually pretty good within the given time period. So that's what we're looking for, is your actual time working on that repair in between when it was created and when it was cashed out. So obviously it's ranked by the longest number of days open. So 381 for this RO. You can actually copy this RO number, go ahead and open it up and see what the situation was. And you can research all those right here from this system. Just kind of right click on it, copy it, and you can paste it into your parts and service module to find what the situation was. Okay, now high labor, this one, of course, it has a labor total, and that's how it's sorted. And then it gives you the RO number or repair order in this case for RVDA high labor. Disclaimer is service documents with the highest labor amount cashed out between the given time period. And that's basically it, the highest labor amount cashed out between that time period. So if the cash out date falls within the time period you specify, in this case, my date range is last year, then that's the number that is displayed on that amount there. All right, I think that pretty much covers it. I've explained in detail how each of these KPIs functions, KPI of course being key performance indicator. You can mix and match these. You don't have to use exactly the format that I've specified here in my example. You can have multiple tabs in here, for example. And I've just created a tab in my system called RECT according to RVDA's specifications, and just kind of place these. But as you can see, I can drag and drop. A KPI in our system is very flexible that way. I can drag and drop wherever I want it pretty much. So that may take a little getting used to if you're not used to the new dashboard. We did go through a whole webinar earlier in the year talking about how this new dashboard works, but it's pretty cool. I think when you get in here and start playing with it, you'll find that it's pretty intuitive. A lot of our dealers are using the new dashboard currently. If you have any questions on how to get this stuff working, we do have a knowledge base article that's been written on how to operate the new dashboard. But if you do have any further questions, again, check the knowledge base at motilitysoftware.com. But then feel free to shoot an email to support@motilitysoftware.com if you have any questions about how to set up that new dashboard. All right, so at this point, I am going to open it up for questions. It seems like we have the same number of people now that we started out with, 22 attendees, so that's a good sign. But yeah, go ahead and type your question into that Q&A. I don't have any questions on this, which I'm surprised. I thought for sure I would get some questions, but yeah, no questions in here to ask. I'll give it just a couple of minutes. If anyone has any last-minute questions on the whole process or anything specific that you're stumped on, I've got all the answers for you here. So I'll leave it open for about 5 more minutes and wait for questions to come in. But yeah, feel free to look at the dashboard, ask any questions that you have. We'll be ending the meeting in about 5 minutes. Well, I should say, I'll be ending the meeting in about 5 minutes, unless we don't get some questions, in which case I'll be happy to answer your questions. And just so you know, I have no open questions right now, which is hopefully a good sign. Hopefully this was a clear enough demo for you all. Again, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to send an email to support. They've got all the information they need, support@motilitysoftware.com. And yeah, since there are no open questions, I will go ahead and end the meeting at the scheduled time.